Well, good morning, good evening, and good night from Living Courtney Coaching here in Ireland. And thank you for joining us. And it's my journey of starting my YouTube channel. And who better than this most amazing guy that's coming on at the moment? As you can see, Jonathan Courtney, my son. How are you, Jonathan?
Good. Enjoying the quarantine.
Oh my God. Listen, seriously, we'll chat about that later on. I can just imagine. So just, starting at the beginning there, John, because a lot of people, I know that, haven't much of a span to hold on and wait for people to tell them their story. So I want to get everything thrown out there at the beginning while we're talking. So I suppose you have a company called AJ&Smart in Germany, and it's a UX design company. Can you tell us what UX is?
Yeah, so we're a product design and innovation studio in Berlin. Basically, we help companies to design new products, come up with new ideas for things that they can bring to the market. So a digital product is like basically the easiest way to think about it is an app, like Uber or Google Maps or something like that. Companies call us, they have specific challenges, and our team helps them figure out how to actually make those into real things, into real apps. And the other half of the business is then training companies on how to do that themselves. So we have a innovation training and online training business as well.
So, and you went into a thing called design sprints as well. What is a design sprint?
A design sprint is a step-by-step system for bringing a group of people together and solving big problems. It's basically like a 1 week step-by-step process to bring groups of people together when they have a big challenge and don't really know what the exact steps are to go from we have an idea to now we have actually something we can put on the market. The design sprint helps you get from A to B there. It's a system.
Do you know, going through the whole thing, I remember you building the business, and from the time you started, for anybody listening outside who is starting or has a business, and could you give any advice on from where you started and how long you felt that it took to actually get to where you are now?
Yeah, so we're 24 people now, and I think it took probably 5 years just to figure out even what we were even supposed to be doing in the first place. We were only about 3-4 people for the first 4 years, and then in the fifth and sixth year we grew a lot. My advice is just like focus first on how to make money. I think that's one of the things people somehow forget, is that they focus so much on the name of the company, the branding, the colors, the everything. They forget about the actual whole point of a business is to make money. So for me in the beginning, it was just learning, because I didn't have any business background. It was just learning, what is it? How do you do sales? How do you actually bring in cash? How do you do accounting properly? I think just the absolute basics. If you're not making money, if you're not creating money, then there's no business. And so that's the first thing I would say, is just don't bother focusing on anything else until you figured out at least, what's the need in the market and how are you going to fill that need and how are you going to make that transfer so that you can actually make money. So at the very start, the first few years was just figuring out like, what do people really want to pay for?
So you think that, you're the CEO and founder of AJ&Smart. So if somebody comes along to you and they send their portfolio to you and it's absolutely so professional looking, but there could be someone else then that might be even better, but they wouldn't have the put in the amount of money into brochures and stuff like that. So how do you distinguish which person, if you said don't spend money on websites and don't spend money on that, obviously, somebody else, say even in Ireland, would look at two different people, one with an amazing brochure, one with just kind of a made up thing. How do you know to distinguish which person is the right person? So is it
Well,
by...
back in the day, it was just you build relationships with people and do work with them, and then the word of mouth spreads. We didn't even have a website for years. Our website is still crap. Brochures, I don't think people really use brochures anymore, so I don't know about the brochure situation. But I think with websites and business cards and all of this stuff is not really something that I would put much time into in the beginning. We still don't even put that much time into it today. We put a lot more time into our social media just to kind of build up the awareness about ourselves. But all of our first projects came from, we just took an office space and a co-working space in Berlin. We did a lot of in-person events, free in-person events. And in those free in-person events, we were able to sort of sell what we do. So if the question then is like, if we're looking for another company to do something for us, it's often just recommendations. It's often asking someone, hey, do you know someone who can help me with this? And then they give a recommendation. So it's never really about their website. The website is the thing you check like at the last moment before you hire somebody.
Really,
Or
and
brochures or what.
I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make. They feel that they have to have. Do you think it's? I suppose, like in a lot of cases, people, it's like a shop window, isn't it?
I think that people just don't understand that nobody is going to their website. Who's typing in their website address? So that's why we spend no time on our website and spend a lot of time in places where people actually might be looking for a specific topic. So that's why we have such a big YouTube channel. I know that people go to YouTube to learn. And so when
Yeah,
people want to learn about design sprints, when people want to learn about UX, instead of us having, a storefront or a website, we just teach people how to do those things. And eventually, 1 out of every 2,000 people who see our video is a client who's like, oh yeah, maybe it would be good if AJ&Smart did that for me, since they're the people teaching. So I think that teaching, you can out teach your competitors. That's the thing you can do. You can really just figure out, where do the people go to learn the thing that you're doing, and just put your content there. But a website, websites, and I mean, AJ&Smart, the name of the company, we came up with that in like 2 seconds. We didn't spend any time on anything in the beginning, but how do we make money? That was the number one focus, which doesn't sound like a very, I don't know, magical start to a company, but that was the starting point. And I think that was a good way to start.
yeah, and I think that looking at people, a lot of people, when they don't have a turnover, I think they kind of give up too fast. Had you that, remember when you were kind of transitioning from what you were doing into a different area like design sprints, was there a lull in the market at that time, that were you ever at a stage that you said to yourself, to hell with this, like, I'm after trying so hard? Have
I
you
actually think
come?
the problem is that people don't pay attention. Like whenever we didn't make money, we changed what we were doing. So I think the problem is more that people keep doing the same thing over and over again forever, and just think at some point it's going to work. We changed when we stopped making money. We just went in a different direction, and we always do that. So we keep, like, the reason we have online courses is because the consulting stuff slowed down 2 years ago. The reason we went to the design sprint, because we thought that the UX industry was slowing down. So for us, it's constantly experimenting with new things to see what makes more money. And I think there's a mixture of, a lot of people give up really fast before they do anything. But I think even more people keep repeating the same thing over and over again, not really making any money. They're 4 years into it, still struggling, and not. I also noticed that a lot of people just they don't try to fix it. So for me, what I've been doing I know I don't know anything, so I just read a lot of books. I take a lot of courses. I'm just trying to learn, how the hell do you run a business? And I think that's the difference between maybe a small business like mine, which is always growing because I'm always learning, and a lot of small businesses which just sort of get to a certain point and then slowly fade out over a couple of years and get back down to one person again.
Yeah,
So
but
I think there's a balance between sticking to something long enough to see if it actually can work, but it should start with the proof that it can make money. We don't do anything unless we have proof that it can make money. So we'll often create a fake product or something that we think we would like to make, put ads up for it, put a landing page up for it, And if nobody signs up, we actually just don't make it then.
Yeah, that's so good. I remember you bought me a course on AppSumo, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
That was really,
Same.
really good. Yeah, it was a brilliant idea. But I suppose sorry, this is sorry about that. That's mine there. 1 sec now. My battery is going, which you should always check everything. What platforms do you use, Jonathan? Do you use Zoom a lot, or what platforms would you prefer and do you think are better
For
for
calls or for what?
conferences? For conferences.
Oh yeah, we're using Zoom for everything.
And how do you know, with the isolation and with the corona at the moment, how do you find that the whole company is working?
I think that it was easier than expected to go completely remote, but I think everyone is looking forward to get back into the office and getting out of this weird nightmare for sure.
Yeah, but do you think that a lot of companies will say, why do I need to, pay all these people when they can actually, I know you're obviously paying them, but do I need all these people now that can they stay at home and work from home? Do you think that they'll have less of a situation with paying rent for big places? Do you think it's going to change?
Yeah, definitely. I think a massive amount of companies will realize they have way too much physical space and
Yeah.
just start getting rid of it. Absolutely. I think you'll start to see that now already. I mean, we're even thinking about it right now.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
that's the first thing I was thinking of, with rates and all the different things that you have in a company like a huge, and so many people now are working from home. Do you know?
Yeah. I
So
mean, we're about to go into a massive economic recession, so I think we just won't even have a choice. I
yeah,
think it won't be a choice thing. It will be a forced by the economy thing.
what way is it in Germany at the moment with the corona? He seemed like it seems to be way more settled in. I know it's really bad, but it seems to be way more settled and less spoke about in the world. And I know that Germany is taking in Italians and all these people now and testing all the different countries. How do you think it's
Yeah.
so organized? It's just
Germany has
so.
the fourth or fifth most amount of infections. So it did explode here. It did kind of catch the country by surprise, but it's just it's like Germany is like the Germans. They're really well organized. They save money. A lot of things I learned when I moved here. They're just extremely organized. They save money. The economy is amazing. They, of course, weren't planning for a pandemic, but it's really not a panic here right now.
Yeah, because when I was over there in February, and I know that you said to me you might have to stay here for 2 weeks. Do you remember that? Like at that stage, when we were at that level over here, and Italians, everybody was panicking. Do you know, what are we going to do and stuff like that? But that's what I found, even speaking to you on a daily basis or whatever. Like there was nothing I didn't realize it until I saw the specifics, the analytics of it, how bad it was over there. I was saying, Jesus, John, they never really kind of stressed. I know, obviously, you'd be stressed and stuff like that about family, but no, over here it would be 100 times worse, where people would panic and be even more anxious, But
I think that people, what's really different from Germany, I think what places like Germany and Denmark and places like that have in common is that they really trust the government. Places like Ireland, England, America, they don't trust the government.
and
Well, for good reason.
yeah, you really said a very good point there. But and a huge but, and I'd really genuinely, I thought that was Adam. I really would agree with you, but like in this situation, they really, really stepped up. They did
Yeah,
things.
Ireland was one of the
Yeah,
first countries to shut down. I was really, really happy with that.
I couldn't believe it, and they've been very strict. I think they need to be more stricter now with going out, But going back to your business, right? There are two points that I want to make about your new branch, but also Jake Knapp. How in the hell, like you actually just took off, got into a flight, and went over to Google? Wasn't it to talk to Jake Knapp? Who you partnershiped with and kind of built your agency, at a high speed. Would you
Yeah.
just talk a small bit about that?
So for some context, Jake is the guy who wrote the book Sprint. He invented the process that a lot of the big tech companies are using at the moment, that we're also using. And I just got it into my head that I really wanted to meet him. I really wanted to kind of speak directly to the person who invented this process. And I kind of figured out a way I had never been to Silicon Valley, I'd never been to San Francisco, but I figured out sort of an excuse to go there. Obviously paid myself to go there. And I sent him an email the week before and I asked if we could meet up. And I didn't just say, that's a thing that people make the mistake of. I didn't just say, hey, can we meet for a coffee? I actually prepared a lot of stuff and wrote an article that I thought would help sell his book and all this sort of stuff. So I was prepared. But yeah, I just went there and met him and gave him a proposal that we could do a big workshop together in Germany, and he was super excited about it. And that was, I think, 2017. And yeah, we've been working together, doing podcasts together, doing a lot of projects together for the last 3 years. And it's been massive for AJ&Smart because he's been able to connect us with some of the big Silicon Valley companies like Twitter and all of these big companies. So he has been responsible for a lot of the kind of big growth we had. Lego as well. He got us Lego.
You imagine, to think that when you were here and you were growing up, that you'd be going over to Silicon Valley. My God, I couldn't believe it when you even mentioned the word Google, do you know? But for all the people out there that actually don't take chances, if you hadn't decided to pick that person out and just to get, that's what we were talking about, fear is holding people back and they don't. So you would advise people to pick out somebody that they'd really like to work with and not to contact them, just to make sure that you have all your information ready. What you can offer someone, is it what you can offer them?
I think that the biggest mistake people make is that they just ask, hey, can I have some help? Can I have some advice? A lot of people ask me, can I review their portfolios? And they don't offer any value. They don't try to figure out what I want. And so whenever I try to get in touch with someone who's above me in the food chain, I try to figure out what they want. I take time to figure out what they want. And I don't send them a message saying, hey, what do you want? I figure it out. So I knew that Jake wanted to sell more of his book. I knew he wanted to be known for the Sprint. I worked hard to figure out how to make that happen before asking for a meeting. It's really easy to figure out, but most people are too lazy. People ask me if I say, hey, I do talks on the fact that you need to do this. You need to offer value to people. That's how I get these people on my podcast. And people then send me a message saying, yeah, but what do you want? You don't want anything. I'm like, yeah, because you're too lazy to figure it out yourself. And I think that's often the thing. What do I want? I want more people to listen to my podcast. I want more YouTube subscribers. It's very easy to figure out what I want if you put any effort in. And I think that's the thing, is that most people don't put any effort in. So it's actually really easy to get to people who are famous or get to people who you'd want to talk to, because 99.9% of the people who are contacting them don't put any effort in.
That's so interesting. So I always say that if you're the most intelligent going into a room, you're not going to gain anything. People forget about that. If you're walking into a room and you're the most intelligent, you need to be the less intelligent to learn everything, But so you have, that's brilliant as well. Every Monday night, isn't it? The Jake and Jonathan show. And people have to actually, what's the link? It's just Jake, go into podcasts.
Just any podcast app, you can search Jake and Jonathan.
But it's so funny, isn't it? Because you actually, you laugh and it's so natural. And I think people at the beginning, when you hear it, kind of people say, who are these two guys? Two top founders and CEOs. I think a lot of people have an image of kind of, oh, there they are, all kind of stiff and everything. But there you are talking about, it's so funny. You're sometimes eating your breakfast or eating this and that. And it's so fantastic that it started off as the product breakfast club, wasn't it?
Mm.
And why did you change?
Yeah, so I mean, we just in the end we were talking about nothing, so we decided to just make it sort of an entertainment show, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't realize that people do just want to listen to people talking. It's something that people just want to do to pass the time. So, you know, our podcast is just myself and Jake talking once a week about random stuff. There's no preparation. Every episode's a full hour. Like we're really pushing what people are willing to consume. But yeah, it's fun for us, and that's what's important sometimes.
But you
Actually, the
know,
thing that's important is actually consistency. We've been doing it nonstop every week for a full 2 years, and I think that's another thing. Again, I'm talking about most people, but most people don't do things consistently as well. And also me, I mean, I give up loads of stuff, but with the podcast, I knew with things like getting a following, you just have to be unbelievably patient. It's very slow. At the same time, if you want to grow your channel, you still have to learn how to grow your channel. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect people to just come and find you.
so can I ask you a question? It just went into my brain there a second. Is that so? A lot of people are afraid to give out information. They're afraid to give out content because they're going to say to themselves, "Oh my God, that person is going to copy this and copy that." So, how can you explain it to people? Like the best thing you can do is give out content. So
Yeah,
how do
it's
you?
what I said. You have to, if that's your, if your mindset is that you're worried about giving away free advice, first of all, you obviously think your advice is amazing. And second of all, I think it's just the stupidest thing imaginable, because the best ad, like what is a book, right? This
Mm,
is my new book that's coming out next week.
yeah,
This is
just
all of the secrets of my company in a book. Why would I give this away for 10 euro or something like that? I'm not giving it away for 10 euro because I'm nice. I'm giving it away for 10 euro because some clients will read this and want to book us, right? You give away everything, and then it doesn't mean people can still do it. So for example, if I was looking for an accountant and there was a great accounting channel teaching me all these accounting things, after a while, I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to call and ask this accountant to do it for me. So that's what happens. People watch our channel. It's hundreds of hours of content. And, 89% of the people actually take what they need and never come back to us because they're using it for themselves. And then the 11%, I don't know why I chose that, 11% of the people then buy our stuff because they realize, okay, wow, if these are the people who are teaching, then these are the people who are the authority. And I'm happy when people don't give away everything, because it means that it's less clients for them and more for us. But it's not a good mindset to hold stuff back. It's you assuming that you're actually important enough, right? Nobody is important. Nobody cares about me. Nobody cares about my company. Nobody cares about AJ&Smart. If I started holding things back, it would mean that I think we're important enough to hold stuff back, which we're not, and nobody is.
so yeah, because a lot of people, their mindset is that way. Oh my God, I've to hold on to everything. And so by giving all that stuff away, you become, I suppose, the expert in your area then for people to
Exactly. You
go
become
to.
the authority. Yeah, you become the authority. Who are you going to book? If you have to choose between three plumbers, and they're all the same price, because that's how it is anyway. And
Yeah,
which one are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the one who has nothing out there, or the one who has the most famous plumbing YouTube channel or something? If
yeah,
they're all the same price in the end, you choose the person you also get to know people and get to like them, and you kind of connect with these people. You want to
yeah.
go and spend money with people that you can connect with somehow.
But I think that trying to being successful is like very, very hard, because even during the week I started my tier 3 with me, right? And it was, I had to get the content which was in my brain anyway, and I kind of had a casual thing, but every single day I had to do it. And even in that week, John, I got so many followers. Now it's crawling, but I got so many followers that I would never have got before. And I know that people are saying, are you doing too many? But you can never do too many. What would you advise? Do you think every day or once a week is best for
We have content coming out every day. I think the main thing is you have to keep, first of all, you have to know why you're
pushing?
making the content. What's the
Yeah.
end goal? Where are you pushing people? For us, it's, well, we're pushing people to either book a sprint with us, so book a call with us or buy one of our online courses. So if you don't know the end point, then you're just making content and it's going nowhere, which is a bit of a problem. Then the other thing is, it's not about how often you're doing it. It is about creating a routine for people. So people know that on Monday, my podcast comes out, on Wednesday, our video comes out, and every day the Instagram stories are happening. So it's just, what is the routine that you can teach people, and what do people go to you for? What specific thing? They come to us for like design and innovation and workshops. Those are kind of all in this one bunch. Workshops might even be the main container around it. But if it's just too general and too broad, people won't know even how would they tell their friends about you, you know?
Yeah,
How they tell their friends about us would be, if you want to know how to run workshops, you should check out AJ&Smart. Whereas a lot of people, it might be like, if you want to do this, listen to this person.
Yeah.
And that's just confusing.
I know. And I think it's like, as I was saying, like the World Health Organization was saying, test, test, test. I was saying the whole week, content, 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 you know? And I suppose that's another thing where you have a new branch of your, you know, to add onto your bio and your curriculum. So I'd like to, a big applaud to Jonathan Courtney as the author. So Jonathan, tell me if I can actually, I can share, have I it here? Yes, I have. So here is the workshop playbook. Jonathan, tell us about this. This is amazing. Congratulations. Imagine, my son is an author. Woo! Go on, Jonathan, tell us.
You have 44,304 unread emails.
Have I? I didn't even look at that. Just get off that, lads, and look at Jonathan's book.
Yeah, so the Workshopper Playbook is my new book. It's coming out on Wednesday, the 8th of April. It's free. If you want to, if we bought 2,000 copies, the first 2,000 copies are free, and then just get it on Amazon if you miss out on that. And yeah, this book teaches you basically how to design your own custom problem solving and decision making workshops for clients. And it takes like 1.5 hours to read. By the time you finish it, you'll be able to design workshops for your clients. This is very niche. 99.999% of people on the planet will not give a crap about this book. But the type of people who are interested in running workshops, it's specifically very much for them.
That's so anybody that's actually looking at this, Jonathan, where can they get it? And what date is the launch?
The 8th of April. They can go to workshopper.com/book. Or just go to our Instagram and you'll see on our stories, the swipe ups will be there. AJ&Smart Design. Actually, any AJ&Smart channel over the next few days.
So how does it feel to be an author?
Doesn't feel like anything. I think I understand why people like books, because it's like this physical thing that feels like a real item, but it still was harder. It's harder to make our YouTube videos than it was to make this book. So it's, for me, it's cool to have one thing to talk about, like one physical thing that I can say, this is all of our this is all of our learnings, or all of my learnings from the last 10 years in a nutshell. But yeah, I don't really feel like I would call myself an author, because actually anyone can write a book. It really isn't difficult at all to do that.
But I think once you
I basically spoke the entire thing out, got it transcribed, then had editors edit it down, and then I did a final edit. So it's really not that hard to write a book.
Yeah, but still, it is amazing. It is a huge achievement, and I think it puts you up another level, doesn't it? Like that, people look at you definitely as more of an expert than talking.
The whole point is to become more of an expert, and I think for me, the reason I made it into a book was because books were the thing that got me to where I am today in terms of learning about business. So I like the format of books. I like reading.
Yeah, I love holding a book. If you look at our house, there's books everywhere, all over the house, as you remember, in the bathroom, everywhere. But listen, how how can you explain, like, say you have a workshop, right, with a team? What's the difference between, why a workshop? Like, why does a company need a workshop if they're working with their team? Why that
If it,
format?
if a team comes together to solve a problem or start a new project, what usually happens is they all sit in a room, talk over each other, talk around each other, discuss, go around in circles, potentially for weeks, potentially for months. No one's on the same page. Everything is slow. People get frustrated just because team dynamics and collaboration, there's no system for it. There's no process. There's no, this is how collaboration works, rule set. And what this book teaches you to do is take these messy nightmare moments where everyone comes together and is just talking over each other and turn it into a system. And that system is a workshop. It's just a systemized process, step by step. How do you get from, we're all sitting together right now in this room, to here's the exact thing we're going to do in 1 hour instead of weeks of bullshit talking.
That's so true. That's amazing, because I know that I did the 4-day design sprint boot camp with you and Jake, and it changed my whole life, the whole business, and I use it all the time. That's what I was saying. Can you use it? You don't have to be a UX designer. You don't
No.
have, so it can be used in any format or any company or any business.
The subtitle of the book is How to Become a Problem-Solving and Decision-Making Expert. It's not about design at all. It's about becoming someone who can guide teams through collaborative processes, help them make decisions faster, help them solve problems faster, and smoother with less frustration. It's kind of like a project manager on steroids.
But listen, because you do, I see that in meetings. You have the dominant one who is all talk, and then you have the really quiet person who could be the person with all the ideas, and they're afraid to open their mouth, you know.
And this system is also anonymous, so nobody knows who's putting which ideas in. There's no talking. It's completely silent, so it's great for introverts and even great for extroverts who maybe are sick of just talking the whole time. It's just the concept around running a workshop versus running a meeting. It's completely life-changing.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. But you speak around the place as well. You're a motivational speaker for businesses and companies now, John, aren't you as well? Or do you want to do it?
I don't know if I'd call myself a motivational speaker. Not really. I mean, I do have like a course and coaching groups where I'm helping small businesses with their challenges, but I'm definitely not positioning myself as a motivational speaker at all.
Yeah, but I suppose a speaker for companies, do you know?
Mostly just running workshops though.
Yeah, but come here to me. Tell me about how at the so for discussing your business before we end up talking about everything else. Where are you going? Like, where do you see yourself going, or have you any? But do you know? Have you any plans for the future? Are you going to throw in any of those other talents that you have, like filmmaking and all this stuff that you loved when you were growing up, and the music with the, you know, your music and film?
I don't really know. I mean, I'm running a business now. You know, that, like I said, there's 24 people to take care of.
Yeah.
I'm the one responsible for thinking about the future of the business, and I have a lot of ideas about what I want us to do. A lot of that is around owning the conversation around workshops, being able to make people enjoy meetings a lot more. But yeah, I'm not like the big vision guy who's like, oh my God, in 20 years we'll be this. I'm very much like tactical based on what the current market is. And the current market right now is crashing. So now I'm focused on, rather than focused on 6 months, now I'm focused on next week.
Yeah, it's very hard, especially when you have so many people working for you, isn't it? But you're responsible
hard for everyone. I mean, every company is having the same problem right now, not just us. It's really, I mean, restaurants and event businesses are really struggling.
But you know what I think? I feel that the world is shutting down, right? And I feel that you're at a level where a kind of a playing field that if anybody, of course, you know, like you're way ahead and everything, but I feel that anybody out there that's listening that wants to start something, that now we couldn't be a better time because everybody is at home listening. You know, they're all in isolation, and they're, you know, you can kind of break through the noise. I find that if
Yeah.
you're going to work consistently, you know. But how are you getting on with the baby and isolation and everything? We have I have a new granddaughter. Woo! So how's my handsome child, Mariana? How are you getting on?
Let's just say I'm looking forward to having the quarantine being over. No comment on that one.
But yeah, I think you're amazing. I'm so delighted. Like for anybody out there, you know, I'm learning so much from Jonathan, and I really am. And you know, he'd say to me, "How are you getting on?" and stuff like that. And when I look at Jonathan and I see the motivation that he has, I say to myself, "Well, I better get up and do this." Like, I'm doing this for myself, but it's also, I think that it's so important, you know, not to be afraid to learn from somebody younger. Because I think a lot of people are afraid. They kind of say, well, they're younger, what do they know? People of Jonathan, of your age, John, you know, you're so wise and you've learned from a different era and kind of take things way easier. Even your company, you go in their slippers, and, you know, there's people sitting down, and, you know, like...
People are sitting down. Wow, what a futuristic
Yeah,
office.
do you know what I mean? Like, they're chilling.
We allowed people to sit.
Yeah, but they're chilling. Do you know what I mean? Like, you see companies that I worked with all my life. Now, FMC was brilliant, I have to say, because we'd kind of a fantastic atmosphere where I just sang and did what I wanted. But in some companies, I know that people are working for, you know, they're not getting the same out of people. And, you know, how can you give anyone advice who's a founder to get, you know, to get trust from your employees? Do you know what I mean?
Well, the biggest mistake I made over the first few years was just not knowing how to be a boss and not knowing how to give real feedback. The worst office environments are the places where the boss wants to be everyone's friend and won't tell people the truth. So then you have a lot of resentment and weird vibes building up because this person who's a really good performer is really irritated that this person who's a really bad performer, you know, maybe even gets the same amount of money as them, or maybe the bad performer is the good performer's boss. That's what always happens in companies where the boss and the CEO or the bosses are just too afraid to really give feedback and really be tough if it needs to be. And I think that's something I had to learn in 2019. And that's actually what changed the entire vibe from, we were super chilled, but also there was a bit of underlying toxic vibes because no one really knew like what the rules were and what they were supposed to be doing. And at the start of 2019, I just changed it to a more strict, more hierarchical system where I give people really, really honest feedback, and the vibe is 1,000 million times better. Everyone's able to be way more open with each other. Everyone knows if they're doing something wrong, how to improve it. And I honestly think that I would say, honestly, I've never been in a company where a boss actually gave me real critical feedback, even though I know I did a bad job in a lot of places, because nobody wants to risk not being your friend. And I think if you're the boss and you're trying to be people's friend, and that's your main goal is to be liked, then you're just going to have a terrible company and it will fail. And I think if you want to have a company that's successful and people respect, then you have to learn how to really give feedback. But for me, that came with age and bad experiences, and I don't think I would have been able to be good at it in my 20s no matter what.
And was that, I remember you telling me to read a book called Radical Candor. Is that what it actually is like to be, you know?
Radical Candor is the best book on how to give advice to people, or how to give critical feedback, and even how you know when you should let someone go. I think a lot of small businesses have such low standards because they also never let anyone go because they are too friendly with everybody. And then the company quality goes from A to a B to a C to a D. and just gets worse and worse and worse because you have these people who've been there for like 10 years.
Yeah.
The boss is afraid to do anything about it. And it's called the Peter principle. It's when your boss knows way less than you do, and is a lot more confused and a lot more out of it and doesn't know what's going on, and you as the junior knows a lot more, you will not stay in that company. So if you don't take care of your staff and give critical feedback, then the good people start to leave. Basically, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And the bad people stay forever because they're comfortable.
Yeah, because I remember when we had Blarney Castle, one of the guys said to me in November, I'll take over the emails, and there's no need to do the emails anymore. And then I remember in January I was up in Maureen's house, one of my sister's house, and I remember I said I'll check the emails, and none of them had been open. I will never forget it. And I went back and I got so annoyed. But you see, the thing about it is that when I spoke to somebody about it, another guy who was a founder of another company, he said, that's not his fault. That was your fault for not.
Yeah.
I delegated, but I didn't check. So as you say, you have to be on top of it all the time. And the worst thing of all is that because the person was our friend, it's so hard. It's so hard to deal with it. So
well, hiring friends in the first place is maybe not the best idea.
Yeah, and hiring family.
It worked out actually okay for me, but yeah.
Yeah, so in your case, I saw a huge shift of employees.
Just one thing, I will have to go soon. Sorry.
Yeah, go on, lads. He's my son, so I'm trying to drag everything out of him. So before you go, John, so proud.
Maybe
the book is the workshop playbook.
You have to get the book name right, Lil. Come on.
The workshop playbook. Workshopper playbook. The workshopper playbook. And you can rewind this. Now, if anybody wants to contact Jonathan or whatever, it's www.AJ&Smart.com. And you have the Jake and Jonathan podcast. Go on that. And John, thanks so much for coming on. This is my first Zoom, and you're so good to help me out. And I love you. And for everyone, I love you all. Thanks a lot. Jonathan, Courtney, love you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, John.
Bye.
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 Well, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And as I said, this is my first Zoom recording. Talk to you later, everyone. Thank you.